My beloved child, stop right where you are. I know what has been keeping you up at night. Not the past. You have made some peace with the past, or at least you have learned to carry it. What is stealing your sleep? What is tightening your chest when you wake up in the morning? What is running on a loop in the back of your mind, even in your most distracted moments, is the future. The unknown stretch of what comes next that you cannot see clearly enough to feel safe in. The decisions that are waiting to be made that feel too large and too permanent to risk getting wrong. The circumstances that could go either way and whose outcome you cannot control no matter how carefully you plan or how hard you try. I know what it feels like to stand at the edge of the visible and look out into the dark and feel the vertigo of not knowing what is there. And I have come to speak into that fear today. You did not find this message by accident. I arranged this moment because the fear of your future has been growing in you, and I will not let it grow unchecked without speaking. Because fear of the future is one of the enemy's most effective tools, not because the future is actually as threatening as the fear suggests, but because fear about an unknown future is almost impossible to reason your way out of. You cannot argue with what has not yet happened. You cannot solve a problem that does not yet exist. The anxiety about what might be is immune to the normal strategies we use to deal with what is, and so it can sit in a person and grow, unchallenged, until it becomes the dominant lens through which every present moment is experienced. I need to say something to you right at the beginning that I want you to hold through everything that follows. I already know your future. Every detail of it. Every turn it is going to take, every door that is going to open, and every one that is going to close, every person who is going to enter it, and everyone who is going to leave, every difficulty that is coming and every gift. I know all of it. And I am telling you right now, from that complete knowledge, you are going to be okay. Not because the future is going to be easy or free from challenge or perfectly aligned with what you are currently hoping for, but because I am in it. Because I have already gone before you into every moment that lies ahead. Because I have already prepared provision for every difficulty you are going to face, before you even know the difficulty is coming. The future that frightens you is a future I am already in. And you are not going into it alone. I want to address something that underlies a lot of fear about the future. The sense that the decisions you make now are irreversible in a way that could permanently ruin the life I have for you. That one wrong choice, one missed door, one path taken that should not have been, could derail the plan I have for you in a way that cannot be recovered from. My child, I need to dismantle that belief because it is one of the most paralyzing things a person can carry. I am not so fragile a God that a single wrong turn by one of my children can permanently derail my plans for them. I am the God who redeems, who redirects, who uses even the detours and the mistakes and the roads taken in the wrong direction to bring people to exactly where they need to be. You cannot make a choice so wrong that I cannot work with it. You cannot miss a door so completely that I cannot open another one. Trust me more than you trust your own ability to get it right. So stay with me. Let me speak to the specific fears that are living in you about what lies ahead. Let me address the lies that fear has been building in the space of the unknown. Let me show you what it actually looks like to walk into an uncertain future with the God of the universe holding your hand, and let me give you the tools to do that not just today, but in every moment of uncertainty that lies ahead. My child, I want to go beneath the surface of the general anxiety about the future and speak to what the fear of the unknown is, specifically doing to you in the present. Because fear of the future is not just a problem about the future. It is a problem that is stealing your present, and I want to name that theft clearly. Fear of the future steals your present joy. When every good moment is overshadowed by anxiety about whether it can last, when every experience of blessing is accompanied by the dread of losing it, when you cannot fully inhabit the good that is currently in your life because part of you is always scanning the horizon for the next threat, the present becomes a place you can barely visit. You are physically here but mentally always somewhere else, always in a future that has not yet arrived, always rehearsing responses to disasters that may never happen. And the life that is actually available to you right now, the beauty, the connection, the small and genuine gifts of this day, passes by largely unlived because you were too busy worrying about tomorrow to be fully present in today. Fear of the future paralyzes your decision-making. One of its cruelest effects is that it can make even small decisions feel enormous and irreversible. When you believe that choosing wrongly will have permanent and catastrophic consequences, the natural response is to delay choosing at all, to gather more information, to wait for more certainty, to find a way to see more clearly before committing. But certainty rarely arrives in the form or the quantity we require before we feel ready to move. And the longer you wait for certainty, the more the paralysis compounds, and the more the undecided things pile up around you, until the weight of everything unmade and undone becomes its own source of anxiety. I am not asking you to make reckless decisions without wisdom, but I am asking you to move with the wisdom you currently have, trusting that I will redirect you if needed, rather than waiting for a level of clarity I may never provide in advance. Fear of the future damages your relationships. When you are chronically anxious about what is coming, the people around you become caught up in the anxiety too. Either as sources of reassurance you drain with your need for constant comfort, or as people you push away because your fear has made you withdraw from connection to manage your internal state. Anxiety is isolating. It turns your attention inward and makes it difficult to be genuinely present to other people and their needs. And the relationships that could be sources of genuine support in an uncertain season become strained by the demands that chronic fear places on them. I designed community to help you navigate uncertainty, and fear of the future can cut you off from the very resource I placed in your life to help you through it. Fear of the future also damages your relationship with me. It reveals at its core a gap in your trust, a place where what you know about me in your head has not yet fully reached your heart. Where you believe intellectually that I am sovereign and good, and that my plans for you are good. But the fear keeps running anyway because that belief has not yet become the deep, settled, lived reality that it needs to be to actually override the anxiety. I am not shaming you for that gap. It is common, it is human, and it is something I want to close. But I want you to see it clearly, because the closing of that gap is the actual work that needs to happen. Not just learning better anxiety management techniques, but a deep and genuine growth in your lived experience of trust in who I am. Fear of the future often has its roots in past experiences where the future delivered something painful you were not prepared for. Where the unexpected happened, and it was bad enough that now your nervous system has learned to anticipate the unexpected with dread rather than openness. You have been surprised by pain before, and the instinct to scan for the next surprise To try to see it coming so you cannot be caught off guard again, is a form of self-protection that made sense in the context of what happened. I understand it. But I also want to show you that the God who was present in every painful surprise of your past is the same God who goes before you into every moment of your future, and that His presence changes the nature of the unknown. I want to speak directly to the specific lies that fear of the future generates, because they are sophisticated and they are persistent, and they will continue to drive the anxiety until they are directly confronted with the truth of who I am and what I have promised. The first lie is that the future is fundamentally unsafe, that what lies ahead is more likely to contain loss and pain and disappointment than it is to contain blessing and growth and genuine good. This lie draws its power from the real losses and real pains that have already happened in your life, and extrapolates from them a general rule about the future. It will probably hurt. But my child, this is not a true reading of who I am or how I work. I am the God of good plans, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. That is not a promise that nothing difficult will ever happen, but it is a promise about the overall orientation and outcome of the future I am leading you toward. The general direction of your life in my hands is not toward destruction. It is toward flourishing, toward the fullness of what I created you for. The second lie is that you are not equipped to handle what is coming, that the future will bring things that will be too hard for you, that you will not have what it takes to navigate the challenges ahead, that you are going into a future for which you are fundamentally underprepared. My child, the provision for tomorrow's challenges does not arrive today. It arrives tomorrow, exactly when you need it. You are not supposed to feel equipped for the future right now, standing in the present. The grace for the next moment comes in the next moment. You have never yet encountered a challenge for which I did not provide what you needed when you needed it, and that track record extends into every moment that lies ahead. You do not need to feel ready. You need to trust that when the moment comes, I will be ready, and I always am. The third lie is that if things go wrong in the future, it will be because you made the wrong choices now. That the future is primarily in your hands, controlled by the quality of your decisions, and that if you choose wrongly, the consequences could be permanent and devastating. This lie places on your shoulders a weight of responsibility that was never meant to be carried by human beings. Yes, your choices matter. Yes, wisdom in decision-making is something I value and want to cultivate in you. But the future is ultimately in my hands, not yours. I am sovereign. I can and do work through imperfect decisions, through detours, through wrong turns, through choices made with incomplete information, to bring people to exactly where they need to be. Your choices narrow the range of what can happen, but they do not determine the ultimate outcome. I do. And I am working all things together for good. The fourth lie is that uncertainty itself is dangerous, that not knowing what is coming is inherently threatening rather than simply unknown. But uncertainty is not the same as danger. The future is uncertain to you and entirely clear to me, and the fact that you cannot see it does not mean it is unguided or unprotected. You are walking into a future that I have already walked through, that I have already prepared, that I am already present in. The darkness you are walking toward is not darkness to me. And the invitation I extend to you is not to see better in order to stop being afraid. It is to trust the one who sees everything, who loves you completely, and who is already in every moment you are approaching with fear. The fifth lie is that trusting me with the future means passivity, that faith requires you to stop planning, stop preparing, stop exercising wisdom, and simply wait for me to determine everything. This is not what I ask. I ask for partnership, not passivity. I ask you to seek wisdom, to plan thoughtfully, to make the best decisions you can with the information and discernment you currently have, and then to hold those plans loosely, trusting that I will redirect what needs redirecting and provide what your own planning could not anticipate. The Proverbs say, "Commit your plans to the Lord, and your plans will succeed." That verse assumes you have plans. It asks you to commit them, to hold them open-handedly in my direction, rather than to have no plans at all. Bring me your plans. Bring me your decisions. Bring me your uncertainty. And let me be the God who works with all of it. Part 4. How to walk into an uncertain future with me, 7:30. My beloved, I want to speak now about what it actually looks like in practice to walk into an unknown future with me, not as an abstract spiritual principle, but as a real, lived daily discipline that changes your actual experience of uncertainty. Because the peace I offer in the face of an unknown future is not a feeling that simply arrives and stays without any cooperation on your part. It is something cultivated, practiced, and deepened over time through specific ways of engaging with me and with the uncertainty itself. The first practice is learning to live in the present moment rather than the imagined future. Fear of the future is always about what might happen, not what is actually happening right now. And what is actually happening right now, in this moment as you read these words, is manageable. You have what you need for this moment. You are okay in this moment. The catastrophe you are afraid of has not happened in this moment. I am asking you to practice returning to the present again and again, every time the anxious mind races ahead to scenarios that do not yet exist. Not as a denial of the future or a refusal to prepare for it, but as a recognition that this moment is the only moment you are actually living in, and this moment is being held by me. The second practice is building a history with me that you can draw on when fear rises. Fear of the future is weakened by remembrance of the past, not the painful parts, but the faithful parts. The moments when you did not know how something was going to work out, and it worked out. The times when the worst-case scenario did not arrive, or when it did arrive, and you survived it with my help. The provision you did not expect, the door that opened when another closed, the way I have shown up in your story again and again, in ways that were not visible in advance, but became unmistakable in retrospect. I am asking you to build a deliberate practice of remembering my faithfulness, because that remembrance is one of the primary antidotes to fear of what lies ahead. The third practice is learning to bring your specific fears to me in prayer, rather than carrying them internally in anxious rumination. There is a significant difference between thinking about your fears, which tends to amplify them, and bringing your fears to me in honest and specific prayer, which tends to release them. When you name the specific fear out loud in my presence, Lord, I am afraid that this particular thing is going to happen, and here is what I am afraid it will cost me. You are doing several things simultaneously. You are acknowledging the reality of the fear rather than suppressing it. You are bringing it into relationship rather than carrying it in isolation. You are giving me the specific thing to work with rather than the general anxiety. And you are practicing the posture of casting your cares on me, which is an active, deliberate transfer, not a passive wishing that the fear would go away. The fourth practice is learning to make decisions from faith rather than fear. Fear-based decisions ask, what is the safest option, the one least likely to expose me to loss or failure or pain? Faith-based decisions ask, what does wisdom suggest? What does my best reading of your leading indicate? And am I willing to move in that direction, trusting that you will redirect me if I am wrong? These two postures produce very different choices and very different lives. The person who consistently chooses from fear becomes smaller over time, less willing to risk, less able to grow, less able to step into the things I'm calling them toward. The person who learns to choose from faith, imperfectly, with remaining anxiety, but faith nonetheless, expands. They take the step and discover that the ground held. They walk through the door and find me on the other side of it. They make the decision and watch me work with it in ways they could not have anticipated. The fifth practice is learning to receive peace as a gift rather than an achievement. The peace I give is not something you produce through enough spiritual effort or correct thinking or sufficient trust. It is something I give, and it comes to those who bring me their worry and exchange it for my presence. The practice of sitting with me in my word, of turning the anxious thoughts into prayers, of reminding yourself of who I am when the fear rises, these are not techniques for manufacturing peace. They are postures of receiving it. And the peace that I give does not make sense given the circumstances. It surpasses understanding. It is available to you in the middle of genuine uncertainty, not on the other side of it. And it is yours. My beloved child, I want to close by speaking specifically and directly into the future that lies ahead of you, the future that has been the source of the fear we have been addressing. I want to give you a picture of it, not in the specific details that you want to know and that I am not going to reveal in advance, but in the character of it, the quality of it, the overall nature of what I am leading you toward. The future I have for you is a future in which you are not alone. Every step you take into the unknown, every decision made with incomplete information, every morning you wake up and the circumstances have not yet resolved, I am there. Not observing from a distance, not monitoring from a remove, but present. Walking beside you, going before you, surrounding you behind. The future that feels like unlit territory is territory I have already walked, and I am walking it again with you, and every step you take is a step onto ground that I have already prepared. You are not going somewhere I have not been. You are following me into somewhere I am already waiting. The future I have for you is a future that is better than your fear. Fear paints the future in its own colors, dark, threatening, full of loss and failure and things going wrong. But fear is not a reliable narrator. It has a systematic bias toward the negative that distorts its picture of what is coming. The actual future, the one I am leading you into, the one I have been preparing for you since before you were born, is not the future that fear is describing. It contains challenges, yes. It contains moments of difficulty and seasons of growth that will stretch you. But it also contains joys you cannot currently imagine, relationships that will surprise you with their depth, moments of grace and provision and beauty that will take your breath away. Fear tells you the future is against you. The truth is that I am for you, and if I am for you, who or what can ultimately stand against you? I want to speak to the specific decision or crossroads that many of you are currently facing, the thing that has been at the center of your fear about the future. The choice you need to make that feels too significant, the path that is unclear, the door you are not sure whether to walk through or walk away from. I am not going to make that decision for you, because growth requires that you learn to walk with me in decision-making, rather than simply receiving pre-made answers. But I want to tell you this, you are not as lost as the fear suggests. You have more wisdom than you are currently giving yourself credit for. The nudges you have been receiving, the doors that have been opening, the peace or unease you have been sensing about different options, these are real. I am speaking through them. Slow down, listen, and then move with whatever faith you can gather, trusting that I will honor the movement and work with what you bring. I also want to speak to those of you who are in a season of transition, where the old chapter has clearly ended, but the new one has not yet clearly begun, and you are living in the disorienting in-between. The job that ended, the relationship that closed, the season of life that is clearly over, and the next one that has not yet taken shape. This in-between place is one of the most uncomfortable places to be, because it combines the grief of what is ending with the anxiety of what has not yet arrived, and the temptation is to rush either backward into what was or forward into something, anything, that ends the uncertainty. But I want to invite you to be present in the in-between, because it is often the most sacred and the most formative of all the seasons. It is the space between Egypt and the Promised Land, the space between death and resurrection, the space between the old self and the new one. Do not rush through it. Let me do what only I can do in the space of the not yet. Finally, I want to speak a word of commission over you. Not just comfort, though I hope you have received comfort today, but commission. Ascending forward. Because I did not create you to be paralyzed by fear of what lies ahead. I created you for purpose, for movement, for the courageous forward motion of a life lived in faith. And I am commissioning you today to take the next step. Not all the steps, just the next one. The one that is visible from where you are standing. The one that your best reading of my leading suggests. Take it. Trust that the step after that will become visible when you need it. Trust that I am already in every moment that lies ahead. Trust that the God who has never once failed you in the past is the same God who goes before you into every future moment, and that His presence there changes everything about what those moments can hold. I am with you. I have always been with you. I will always be with you. And the future, your future, the one that has been frightening you, is held in these same hands that have held you through everything that came before. Those hands have never dropped you. They will not drop you now. Walk forward, my beloved